Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Developer Workshop session today. My name is Keyu. I am a technical product specialist at Mono. I work with the partner integrations and developer relations team. Welcome you to today's session. We hope that you find it very educating and helpful. Um, as you know, we're going to be talking about building a digital learning service with Mono's APIs today. But before we get started, we would like you to introduce yourself in the chat box. You can do this by saying maybe your name and where you're joining us from, what you do, say you are a software engineer or a product person, and also you can describe what you're building. And who knows, maybe someone in the room or in this session will be interested in working with you or building with you. And as we go through the sessions, we understand that some of you may have questions. So we would appreciate if you use the questions tab to ask your question. So there's a questions tab, a widget for it just beside the chat room box. So you can use that widget to ask your questions. I will be happy to answer them at the end of the session. So I'll be doing a brief introduction into what we're going to be talking about today. I'll be walking you through the workshop program. So we'll start with talking about Mono's products and services. Then we'll go on to give a brief overview of the history of lending and Mono's impact today in the lending market, especially in Nigeria. Then we'll talk about integrating Mono Connect, and I will show you a demo of the user journey and how that works. Then we'll also then dive into the demo app that we have built to show you how to connect Mono's APIs called LearnR. We'll talk about integrating the financial APIs and then integration best steps and practices, after which we'll take your questions and answers. So, what is Mono? Mono is a reliable open banking platform that provides businesses in Africa access to high quality financial data and direct bank payments. Currently, we are available across major financial institutions in Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and South Africa. We are on a mission to power the digital economy of Africa or in Africa, and we do this by building infrastructure and tools for developer and businesses to create the next generation of financial products. We're founded in 2020. We have investors like Y Combinator, Entree Capital, and Tiger Global. So far, we've linked over 4 million accounts and we've been able to retrieve over 600 million financial data. Some of the APIs that we use to build at Mono are classified into three buckets. We have the Connect, Direct Pay, and Lookup. The Connect APIs, they help you to access customers' financial transactions, statements, income, and identity data. Our connections for this bank cut across over 40 financial institutions in Nigeria. For direct pay, it is simply an endpoint that allows you to collect direct bank payments into your web or mobile app, and it is secure and faster because it is powered by open banking. And then for our lookup APIs, they help you to securely verify information of users and businesses. Most of the use case for this will be KYC and KYB processes. And so some people will be concerned about how safe this is, considering that it is open banking and it is very new. But we are here to assure you that we are very concerned about security and safety. And so because of this, we make sure that our systems are secured with bit encryption, the details of customers and users are safe. We also go through regular security audits by regulators and third-party digital security experts. We are compliant, certified by NIDA, and for Kenya by the Authorized Data Processor. We are also ISO certified. And lastly, we have a security team that is constantly monitoring our API infrastructure and components to make sure that everything is fine and protected. So let's talk about lending over the years. I'm not sure how old some of us are here, but we some of us it wasn't just long ago where the process of getting a loan used to be very cumbersome and take a lot of time, sometimes 2 to 3 days, even longer, where you had to like file papers, take papers manually to the bank, submit it, wait for back and forth, for them to do their checks before you can get a loan and things like that. There's also the issue of identity theft and fraudulent information, where people couldn't be sure about the information that they were able to receive, or that the quality of data they were getting was authentic. So, and this, of course, led to like bottlenecks in underwriting processes, where making the process very manual and tedious. Customer acquisition time was very, very long. And so there was churn. And let's just say that the process wasn't very efficient for businesses. But with players like Mono, today we can boast of speed and stability, where businesses can now retrieve financial data of users within 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes even less. The data is very secure. Like I showed you earlier, we use bank level security protocol to ensure that financial data is secured. You can also be assured of the data integrity, because businesses get access to this data via the user's consent directly from their bank connections. And then, of course, this has led to an ease in doing businesses, where processes like underwriting and decision making is now faster, leading to better conversion for businesses. So some of the lenders who have used Mono have had some things to say about how Mono has been able to improve their processes. A couple of them talk about being having 90% decrease in fraud attempts, because, of course, with our KYC APIs, lookup APIs, and of course being able to get authentic data directly from the users, they are short of, or there's less fraud attempts. And then, of course, there's a 60% increase in broad onboarding, because users are able to quickly do this. The process is very intuitive, and so the onboarding is fast, and people are able to complete the processes on time. And then lastly, the lenders have been able to tell us that we have a 40% decrease in non-performing loans. Non-performing loans are basically loans that are not or that have not been paid back, or are not usually paid back. But of course, since the data retrieved is the direct data from the users, they can know exactly how much the users are making. That means their credit and their debit, their expenses and their income, and they can make much more accurate financial decisions based on the user's data. So this has led to a decrease in non-performing loans. Now, when it comes to getting financial data with Mono, there are basically two ways you can do this. You can do this through our statement pages, or you can do this with the Connect API. Now, the statement pages is a no-code tool, and it's the easiest way to collect bank statements using Mono. All you have to do, especially if you don't have like a technical team or technical expert, all you have to do is to sign up to our dashboard. Once you've completed the compliance processes, you can then go on to just create a statement page, which will generate a link, and that link can be shared with your users who are interested in getting a loan. Once the user goes through the widget and connects their financial accounts, the data is immediately sent to you via PDF, and you receive it in your email address that is designated for it. And if you don't need that, you can simply download the statement directly from your dashboard, because it will appear on the Mono dashboard. Later, my colleague will be showing you how the Mono dashboard looks like. Um, the second way you can do this is via the Connect APIs. So the Connect APIs is a way to programmatically retrieve data, and this is more robust. And this is more robust because you can get data like transactions data, credit and debit, transactions metadata, identity information, and so much more, unlike the statement that just gives you the user statement. So how does Mono's financial data API work? Just to give you like a background, even though I'm still going to show you a demo of this, The user basically links their bank account to the legacy bank or like Access Bank, GT Bank, and all the rest. Once the account is linked via the Mono Connect widget, a successful and it is successfully linked, a token is retrieved from that widget and then exchanged for a permanent ID that you as the business saves to your database to make future API calls. Now, using that account ID, you can then go ahead and making sure that the data status to confirm that the data status is available. You can then go ahead to retrieve transaction information or statement and so on. So now I'll be showing you a demo of what this Connect widget looks like and how you can use it to retrieve data. So this is the Mono widget consent screen. Um, this basically tells or tries to assure the user that their information is secure and so that the business, the user knows the business that they are connecting their financial accounts to. So then your user gets to choose a bank. For this demo, since we are in sandbox mode, or what we like to call it the test mode, I will not be using like a real financial account, but a sandbox account. So I'll be testing this with the GT Bank connection. And then they can also choose the authentication methods because, like, as we know, people usually use internet banking or mobile banking. So I'll be doing this with the mobile banking. And then you can then fill in, normally here they will usually fill their credentials, but since this is sandbox, we'll just be using the sandbox credentials. So once this is successfully linked, like I said, the process is very intuitive and fast. So once the account is linked, you can begin to retrieve data on your end. So you can see here that data status for this account is available. You can see some simple information like the name and the type of account and the balance on the account. You can also retrieve other identity information like email address, phone number, um, the address where they live, the last four digits of the BVN, and much more. And then you can also retrieve transactions data, as you can see on my screen. This is just like a sample data of what that looks like. And then, of course, lastly, you can retrieve directly their income information. So you can know like how many income sources that they might have, their average income, and so on. So for the purpose of this workshop, which is talking about building a lending service, some of the APIs that we'll be talking about or we'll be using and you've seen us display are the Connect APIs and the Lookup APIs. So under the Connect APIs, we have endpoints like accounts, information, transactions, statements, identity, and income. And then for the Lookup APIs, we have BVN lookup, house address verification, NIN that will be showing you during this session. So like I said earlier, if you're just joining us, you can state your name in the chat box, so you're joining us from and what you do. And if you're building anything interesting, you can also state it in the chat box. So at this moment, I will be handing over to my colleague King, who will be walking you through the demo lending app, LendR, that we have built, and he'll be showing you how to integrate Mono when building a lending solution. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, KU, for the presentation. So at this point here, I'll be taking the baton and I'll be walking us through the next segment of our current developer workshop. All right. So just as KU mentioned, we have built an MVP digital application that has been powered with Mono's open banking APIs. And I want you to understand that Lender is a very simple app where we integrated a couple of APIs that include the transactions API, the statement API, and also our lookup APIs as well. Before I go on to show us what Blender looks like, I want to walk us through the loan application process for applying for a loan on the Blender app. First thing you have to do once you visit the lender application is a user would have to sign up and provide KYC information with either their BVN or NIN identity value. Once they have gone past the stage, they would have to provide basic employer information, which also includes their salary figure. It also includes the name of their employer, and it also requires which day of the month the loan applicant gets paid. Once this information has been provided, the user will be prompted to link their salary or income account so that Mono in the background can check this information, check the salary figures to make sure that the salary information being provided matches what they initially provided. And at the same time, the loan amount they're applying for can be well paid back over a particular period of time. So once this account has been linked, in the background, a couple of algorithms is being run. Thereafter, lender will provide different loan offers for this user who will be applying. On the next steps here, if you want to quickly experience the Lender app on your own local machine, please go ahead to clone the GitHub repository. Once you have cloned the repository into your local desktop or laptop, you then have to run npm install to install all the packages that has been defined in the package.json file. And once all these packages have been installed, I'm sure you see your node modules being populated. You can then go ahead to update your environment variable. We have an example environment file in the repository where you get to provide details such as your mono secret key, your mono webhook secret key, and also a link to your Mongo database instance. Once all this information has been provided, you can now run npm run start, and you should be able to view the Lender app right on your browser. The next steps here is to walk you through a guide on how the technical integration steps would go. The first step here will be to set up an account on the Mono dashboard. So please do well to head over to app.mono.co. Once you have done so, you'll be prompted to sign up if you don't have an account. Once you have signed up, you have to set up your Mono dashboard account by providing a bit of compliance information. And you can also go ahead to invite your team members, be it your engineers, your operations team, your product team, to also provide necessary information that have been needed to complete the compliance process. Once you have your account all set up, the next step here will be to create an app. Once you have an app created, automatically you have access to your secret key and your public key. And I want you to understand that a Mono dashboard application is a fundamental entity that allows you to build on top of Mono APIs, be it our lookup APIs, our connect APIs, etc. Also, when you have your app created, you can also add a webhook URL. This webhook URL allows Mono as an organization to provide you with real-time updates on an account that has been connected to your businesses. Once you have your app all set up, you can proceed to head over to our API documentation, that is docs.mono.co, where we guide you on how to implement your favorite APIs and also guide you on how to implement your SDKs. Once you have implemented necessary APIs and you have also implemented your SDK, you can go ahead to test the experience in Sandbox. And once you have all of this all set up, you can go ahead to go live and get business up and running. So yeah, we're going over to the best integration practices, and we have outlined a few recommendations and approaches that we believe would be helpful to you implementing our APIs. So the first best approach here or recommendation is that we advise that you make API calls directly to Mono from your backend and not your front end. The reason being that if you make an attempt to run API calls on your front end, your secret keys can be hijacked by bad players, by bad actors, and that can lead to some abuse. And that's where your business can be easily compromised. So we advise that whatever API call you want to make to model, please do well to forward them to your backend servers and let the API calls come from that region in particular. The next best approach we often advise is that you should ensure that your mono keys are stored in environment variables. This way, you will know that your keys are being limited to your machine, depending on the setup, and also on your favorite infrastructure servers. The next best approach here is we advise you to set up webhooks on your dashboard, just as I shared earlier. When you have webhooks all set up, you would get real-time information, real-time updates on account that has been linked to your business. Also, you also get to test how a webhook, you also get to test how your servers receive webhooks on your end gracefully with a test webhook functionality. The next step here is once you have your webhook all set up, we want you to understand that it is important to confirm the data status as available for any connected account before you go ahead to make API calls. Failure to confirm this data status as available will lead to empty data being returned. So with the help of our webhooks and also our APIs as well, you get to confirm this data status, and once it's been confirmed as available, you can then go ahead to call your favorite APIs. The last but not the least is that please take note that all return financial API values are returned in the lowest denomination, which is Kobo for Naira in Nigeria. What that simply means is what that simply means is for whichever amount that you receive, be it on the account information API, on the transactions API, or on the statement API, you have to divide that amount by 100 to get your real currency value. At this point in time, I will be sharing my screen with you to see the dashboard experience on how you can create an app before we then go ahead to view the API implementation in my favorite code editor. And then lastly, we go ahead to view the lender application experience in real time. I'll be sharing my dashboard in the next few seconds. So once again, if you're just joining us for the first time, please do well to share with us your name, share with us the location you're joining us from, and if you are building an interesting product that you would love to get a comment on, please also do so in the chat box below. I would love to connect with you all. Okay, so here we have my Mono dashboard. So as when you're logged in, your dashboard should look exactly like this. It's very beautiful. And the next step here you would have to take would be to open the apps link in the sidebar. And here you get to create an app with either the button on the top right or the button on the body of the screen. So once I click this button, I'll be prompted to provide a few information. This includes the name of the application. I can give this Easy, and I can also use Easy as my display name. So this will be the name that will appear on the Mono widget. Next, I would have to provide product information, which is Connect. You can also go ahead to create another application if you want to use the lookup APIs. The next information I have to provide is to select the account type, which is either personal, business, or both. What is implied here is whichever choice you proceed would be the bank type that will be provided on your dashboard. So if I decide to click on only personal, what that means is on the widget, only personal banking accounts will be displayed. If I decide to click on business only, only business connections will be displayed. And if I decide to click on both, your users can get to link either their personal or business banking account. So I've selected both account types. The next information I have to provide here is my account scope. Here I can decide to select all account scopes. The next one here is institution scope. You can proceed with the one that works with your business use case. In this case, I would go with banking. The last one on the list is the industry. And at this point in time, I would proceed with financial services since lender is a lending service. So once you hit the create app button, the app will be created instantaneously and you can quickly visit it and look at the information being provided. So here on my screen, you can see I have my public key and I also have my secret key. So these are the test keys. So what you should take note of is once the app is being created, automatically to be in sandbox or test mode. Also, you can go ahead to add a webhook. So here, depending on the webhook routing parameters, you can just provide this webhook here directly. Adding to this as well, we have a feature that allows you to send a test webhook event. This way, you get to understand how your servers react to the webhooks that we send. The next thing I have on my screen is the app settings. Here, you can decide to select the type of account your users can add. Also, you get to edit the widget experience. What this means here is you can add banks or remove banks that you do not want your users to see on the Mono Connect widget. Here, you can also toggle this button to notify you when an account has been linked. And the last but not the least, you can toggle this button to go live. And once this button goes live, automatically your keys will be switched to public keys. So please take note that when you are in live environment, you can't use your test secret keys. And when you're in a test environment, you can use your live keys. So what that means is if you would want to have both test keys and live keys being used at the same time, you can create two different apps for that approach. This brings me to the end of my dashboard experience. The next thing I'll be walking us through right now is the lender experience. So this lender I'm talking about is like, how does it look like? So yeah, if you remember, I showed you the steps on how to clone the repository, how to set it up on your local machine. And once you run npm run start, you should be able to view this current page on my browser. So here I'll be creating an account from scratch. Here I'll provide an email address. Let me provide it busy. Next thing I will have to provide is my business name, my first name, because it's busy as well. And I'll have to provide some super secret password. So yeah, I'm already logged into the lender application, and if you want, you can go ahead to log out, change your password, edit your profile. But the important thing here is how does a user get to access affordable loans on this typical MVP application. If I proceed to access loan, I'm being directed to a page that's asking me how much I need. So depending on how much you would want, you can always provide that information here. Let's go ahead to provide an amount as low as 1,000 naira. budget. So if I click on start my loan application, like, oh, then that sends an error saying that the minimum loan amount we can provision is 50,000. And if I should go ahead to probably provide a much more bigger amount, and that rejects it saying the maximum we can provide is 500,000, meaning it can only provide amounts in the range of 50,000 and 500,000 naira. So I think I'll just settle for a 200,000 naira figure. Let's see what happens this time. All right, so in a split second, I'm being directed to this next stage of this loan application process. And I'm being prompted to verify my identity with either the BVN or NIN. So here I will just proceed to verify with my NIN information. Let's see what happens if I provide some random NIN values. So here, the Mono APIs in the background is saying there's an issue verifying our NIN number, meaning I should provide an accurate NIN digit. Give me 1 second to get my NIN. Let's proceed. Let's see what lender says this time around. Voila. So in the background, lender has been able to verify my NIN identity information and save that. And I've progressed to the next stage of my loan application process on the lender MVP app. So now lender needs a couple of information to be able to properly understand my earning history so that it can know if I can pay back this amount I'm requesting for in this particular period of time. So here I can decide to provide Mono as an employer. Next, I'm being asked how much do I currently earn. I can proceed to provide, let's say, 450,000. And here I'm being asked what day of the month do I get paid. I can provide 26th. So here, this new information that lender is collecting is very important because it helps lender to make a match on the APIs that will be called after my account has been linked. So providing this day of the month, which is 26, providing this amount and providing this employer, lender gets to match this information. First of all, starting with Mono, it tries to get transactions that have Mono in the transaction narration. Next, it also tries to get amounts around this figure, that is how much I currently earn. And last but not the least, lender also makes an attempt to check for transactions that has taken place on the 26th of the previous month. But at the moment, lender just collects this information and saves to state temporarily. Going about to the next stage of this loan application process, I'm finally being asked to link my lender financial account. So let's see what happens when I try to link account. Uh-oh. The widget is saying that we ran into an error and we should please check our application key. So let's see what is happening in my code editor. Let's figure out what is happening exactly. So I will share with you my code editor shortly. If you have questions, please do well to use the question tab. And if you need clarification on some certain bits, you can do well to share in the chat box below. My team members will do well to attend to you as swiftly as possible. Okay, so this is my current code editor, and I want you to understand that Lender was built with a monolith approach, meaning that we're not making use of microservices, APIs communicating with each other. So this app is being powered with Node.js and EJS on the front end. With that said, I want you to understand that we are making use of the Mono Connect Vanilla SDK. So I'm making use of the Vanilla SDK to allow users to link their accounts on the widget. So this is the page that I'm coming from just now that has the lender app. This has the links that's request for accessing loans, and here we have an import. So when you're making use of our vanilla SDK, you will need to import this current script tag. So once you have all of this script information being provided, the next thing you would have to do is to set up the MonoConnect callbacks or parameters. So here we can see a couple of code. Don't worry, I will walk you through what is happening here in the next few seconds. So here we can see a key parameter. What this key here represents is that it's expecting your Mono public key from your Mono dashboard application. So until you provide the right public key, you won't be able to link an account. So you just won't be able to link the account on the Mono widget. So which is why we're having the issue that came up a few seconds ago. So give me a second. Let me quickly get the right public key and provide this right here. I provided my public key here. The next parameter or callback I have is the success callback. This success callback or this unsuccess callback gets fired instantly when an account has been linked successfully in split seconds. What get returned is a temporary token that lasts for only 10 minutes. Please take note. The next step or the next line of action to take is once you receive this temporary token, you have to go ahead to send this token to your backend servers so that you can get what we call a Mono account ID. So it is a tokenization process where we give you the temporary token, then you should make an attempt to get the account ID with our Exchange Token API. So as you can see here on my screen, where I have line 151 to 153, I'm forwarding this temporary token to my backend. I don't want to make this request in the front end, as I mentioned, because it's very easy to sniff the secret key in my console, as I shared as a best practice and recommendation earlier. The next thing here I have is the onClose callback. The onClose callback gets fired whenever a user closes the widget. Also, when the user links an account successfully as well, the widgets close and this callback automatically gets fired. And here we have the button that has been binded to the MonoConnect widget. So when this button is being clicked, the MonoConnect widget opens up instantly in split seconds, very fast. So at this point in time, we're going over to the next phase of the implementation process. So we just finished the front end or SDK implementation of the integration process. So we're going to the back end where these API calls are being made. If you remember what I mentioned before, we're making use of Node.js as our current server. So my app is already running. I can cancel that and restart later. Let me restart this back. And here I'm in my controller file where I have the Mono API has been implemented. So this first API you can see is the Exchange Token API, where it's receiving the temporary token from the front end. When this gets received instantly, a call is made to Mono's Exchange Token API so that we can get the account ID. When this account ID is being saved, what happens here is we provide the Mono data status to false, otherwise also called processing. I would speak later on the data status confirmation process, but let's stay with me while I walk you through the APIs that has also been implemented. So here we have the Mono Identity API being called as well, that also fact check the information being provided earlier on in the NIM process and tries to compare through another controller, which I'll also show. Here we have the account balances API implemented that gets us the account balance and other bank account information that includes the account name, the account number, and some other account information, which we'll also share on our documentation shortly. You have the transactions API being implemented, where we try to get this data in a paginated format. So what's in the page, and here we get the data, and once we get this data, I'll take us to the algorithm that has the whole processing being done. Yeah, so this all transactions API is for the backend admin that enables them to view your transactions in a paginated format without loading all your transactions all at once. The next API I have here is the reauthorize API for the admin to help reauthorize your account whenever that status is not available. Next, we have the BVN API being implemented. You remember, at the beginning of the loan application process, a user had the choice of verifying either their BVN or NIN number. So here, just receive the BVN of the user and return this information back to the controller that needed this information. Let me expand this bit. And I'm sure as I've been going on, you would have noticed that my secret key was being stored as an environment variable, just as I recommended earlier. This has been done across all APIs been implemented so far. So this is our NIN verification service that verifies NIN value of this user. Next we have is our manual sync API being implemented whenever data status is failed and there's a need to like resync this account by the admins. Okay, I think we can ignore this one. So the next thing I want to take us is the next thing I want to take us through is the webhook processing experience. So what's happening here is we have a route. Let me open up that route real quick. 1 second. So we have a route which is called mono webhook that allows us to get the webhook request that we need in real time. So it's through this webhook tunnel that Mono updates us on an account that has been linked. So we get to know when data status is available for a particular account so we can process information of that user appropriately. Let me go back to the previous tab. So yeah, this is the webhook implementation that first of all checks if this data webhook is account updated. Once it's account updated, when the account updated the webhook is received, we just do a bit of login. And the next thing we have is we're checking for the data status if it's available. So once this data status is available, we try to get the account ID of this user and then we update the information on the database based on this information. You can see at the bottom right of my screen, I have a developer tool called ngrok running. So for those of you that don't know what ngrok is, ngrok is a developer tool that allows developers to test webhooks in their local machine without necessarily deploying on a production server. So I don't need to I don't need to push my code to a production server before I can test webhook. But it's with this particular URL that ngrok generates that I've added to my Mono dashboard. So still speaking on the webhook implementation, we have the data status being confirmed as available. This can either be available processing or failed. And you should also please take note that there's a time span for which we send to you an account updated webhook. So this takes place between 0 seconds and 10 minutes. And I also want you to understand that some banks can be faster than the others. Take it for instance, you can connect a GTP bank account, and in less than 1 second, you already have the status saying available, meaning that transaction data is ready. Some banks can be slower. It can take as far as 1 minute, 2 minutes, or more, just depending on depending on the uptime of that particular bank. So yeah, at this point in time, I'll just take us back to the lender app experience so I can continue my loan application process. Yeah, take note that I've updated my public key to the real credential I have on my dashboard. Let me stop sharing. 1 second, please. All right. So here, remember we had an error because the right public key was not being provided. So I'll just go ahead to reload this page. That should still have the same state. And let me make an attempt to link an account again. So here you can see that I have busy. You remember clearly when I created an application, the display name that was being set is what we currently have here. Here you have a business logo, and here we are showing your users that the accounts that they're connecting is secured, private, and protected. Here we have the call to action button. Once it's been clicked on, a user can go ahead to link their favorite bank account to you as a business. You remember earlier on, I had personal and business set as the account type, meaning they can link either account of choice. So here we're currently in a production or live environment, and I'll proceed to link my Wema Alert account. So at this point in time, the user at this stage will have to provide their account details, which I am currently doing. In split seconds, as you can see, it's very fast. My account was able to get linked as quick as possible. And at this point in time, when user clicks on continue, the loan application, the account get linked. I'm not sure why that's didn't close as expected. So here, the user can proceed with this loan application process. And when I hit this proceed, take note that these checks are being made, the accounts information, the amount I'm requesting for, my employer information, they're all being checked. And then when I proceed at this point in time, we can see that this information has been processed and your user can either accept this loan offer or reject. So depending on your use case, you can decide to implement a feature where the user can add their bank account information and some other things that you think works well for your end. That brings me to the end of this live workshop demo. Stop sharing. Okay, so we're currently in the question and answer stage. If you have questions, please do well to make the question tab. And my colleague KU will be moderating the questions. And the questions on the questions tab here will come up on our screen, and we can take each question one after the other.
Okay, thank you everyone, and thank you for listening so far. We hope you found this session very insightful. So right now we'll be taking questions. We've had some questions in questions tab right now. Some of them have been answered on a, let's say, more personal level. But for other people who might be interested or might have similar questions, um, so one of the questions asked was, is there a reason why you need an exchange token for the client ID and the ID isn't passed immediately in the account, isn't passed immediately an account is connected? So can you explain why we need an exchange token for the permanent ID and the ID isn't passed directly?
Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, I think this question has already been answered. But going back to the question again, is there a reason why you need to exchange a token for the permanent ID and ID isn't passed immediately as account is connected? Yeah, so while this has already been answered, you should understand that this is for security reasons. If you remember clearly, you have a public key being set up. Are you with me? So once you link an account, the process for authenticating and getting the ID is because anyone who has access to your public key, you guys can have account being linked multiple times, and that isn't warranted. That isn't permission. So that exchange token process where you get the account ID itself ensures enables us to know that yes, this account was created by a user, and you went ahead to implement the ID tokenization process. So it's for security reasons, just as I tweeted earlier.
Okay. All right. So some of the questions that we've had. Okay. Let me. So King, there's a question on the right now.
Okay, can you bring it up on the screen?
Hold on. For some reason it disappeared, but let me just read it out again. So how does the decision engine work? Is there an endpoint for loan decisioning? Godwin is asking.
How does the decision engine work? Is there
Yeah.
an endpoint on decisioning? Okay, good question. Uh, so looking at the loan decision engine process, I think this depends on the use case. This depends on how you want to make sure that users collecting a loan tickets can actually pay back this loan in a particular period. So if you notice, I mentioned that I have a process for getting salary information for a salary earner. I also get the amount that you currently earn, and lastly, the day they get paid. So all of these and more are information that enables you to actually build your own credit decision engine. And just to add to this as well, we have our income API that allows you to get estimated income score. So all of this gives you the opportunity to build a very robust decision engine on your own infrastructure. I hope
Okay.
my that was very helpful.
Okay. Thank you, King. So this is one question somebody had regarding the app. So the question is saying, was the 200K loan given to the user a calculated amount or just hard coded?
Let me take this again. Was it wasn't hard coded. I think if you are seeing a hard coded amount in the repository, I think you're on the wrong branch. I would check the GitHub repository once more.
Okay, it wasn't hard coded, it was calculated. So I'm done answering this one. Okay, so I think this is a follow-up question to the question regarding webhooks. So the person is saying even if the ID is sent to a private webhook, I'm guessing the person is asking about the token. Um, sorry, Camila, well, your question isn't really clear. So if you can make the question clearer so that we can answer it as clearly as possible for you, that would be very helpful. So I'll move on to another question right now.
Yeah.
So this person is asking, does Mono provide any form of risk assessment based on the salary and bank transaction provided? I'm guessing that this question has more to do with some sort of credit scoring or risk assessment based on no, we do not. So what we do is to help you retrieve that data, and you on your end can do your underwriting and decision making to see what would I say what loan amount would be suitable for this kind of user um, or and much more. So we do not provide risk assessments exactly. But something else that we do with BVN endpoints is that BVN endpoint returns a data field for users, or let me say users who have been blacklisted. So maybe they are fraudulent or they have a bad history. So you can also use it to do some sort of risk assessment for people trying to sign up to your platform and get loans. But you have to take the data yourself and then assess the user for user suitability for the loan amount based on the data they are able to retrieve from us.
Sounds great.
Okay, so I'm moving on to the next question now. So this someone is asking, can you set an interest on the loan? Yes, you can, but that is up to you. That is not something that we do. The interest that you set on your loan and your repayment structure is up to you. Although we have a payment service, but our payment service does not cover recurring payments. It's just one-time payment on direct bank transfer. So yeah. So I will be. So there are some questions in, but for the risk assessment. Sorry, for the risk assessment, I forgot to mention that we are currently working on it or something like that. But right now we do not have it. But we are working on something like that. So someone from Egypt is asking some questions. Um, when do we envisage expanding to North African markets? Right now, we cannot give a direct answer for that. The next question talks about cross-boundary funds. Payment is only available in Nigeria currently. We do not offer payments in other places that we are in. We are currently in Ghana, South Africa, and Kenya, but the only place that has payments is Nigeria, and we do not do cross-boundary funds transfer. Um, can users link um, can users link multiple accounts? Yes, they can. They don't have to link a single account. They can link as many accounts as they have. Depending on you. So King, user is the person is asking, how is the user income data determined from bank provided information or analysis of historic inflows into the subject accounts?
Okay, very good question. Please understand that our income API was built on machine learning models that looks at the history of a particular connected account. So it's based off a prediction of credits that hits this account that enables our machine learning model to determine this information. Please let me know if that's response to the answer was helpful in the chat box.
Okay. So next question, does your docs cover all the countries where you offer your services? Yes, our docs cover all the countries where we offer services. My colleagues will be sharing the docs or a link to the docs with you in the chat box if you are interested in checking it out. I'd like to demo these APIs in my web app. How can we make this happen? You can also reach out to us through our support channels at support@mono.co. My colleagues will drop all our support channels or ways to reach us in the chat box, and we'll be happy to help you through your integration process. Um, yeah, so this is that question, King.
Does our platform support white labeling? Good question. Yes, we offer a set of services called Partners API that allows you to build your own mono experience. You can customize it to your own feel. You get to also handle the logic for the flow of data. I will share a link to documentation that speaks to how this looks like.
Okay, thank you, King. Okay, this is a question. So the user they're asking, what if it's a lump sum loan that requires installment payment for returning payment over time? Can that work with Mono enabling returning loan collection from the borrower's accounts? So basically, they're asking for recurring payment via bank direct and bank transfer. King?
Oh, I thought that was taken. Pardon me. What if it is a lump sum loan that requires installment payment for returning payment over time? Can that work with Mono enabling returning loan collection from the borrower's account? I think this question is a follow up from a previous question, so we can have context in answering this in full time.
Uh,
Maybe we can provide in the chat box the question that precedes this, so we
okay.
can give a very productive answer.
There's no question preceding it actually. I think so the participant is just asking if we can do recurring payment because the only way this is possible for the person to pay via their direct bank account over time is via recurring payment. And right now we do not have recurring payment. We just have one-time payment. So
Okay.
you cannot have like some sort of lien on the account that automatically like auto debits the user at a particular time or something. We don't have recurring payment right now. I hope that has answered your question. And if it hasn't, you can let us know. I will be happy to take it on later. Yes, so just one time payment. It's just one time payment right now. All right then. So King,
Okay.
I think that we have answered all the questions that we have so far. Um, and I think that if you have any more questions, you can reach out to us. Okay, someone is asking when will recurring payments be made available. Right now, we do not have a timeline for this. We do not have a timeline for this, but we will let you can watch out for our announcement on our social media pages. Once we have this live or in beta, we will announce it and we're happy to have you test it with us. But right now, it is not. We do not have a direct timeline for this. All right, thank you. Um, so since we have no more questions, we'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who has joined the session. We hope you found it very helpful and educational. And we would like to see you integrate our services and use Mono to build really great and awesome financial products. Um, and also, we hope to have you some other time when we are having another developer workshop session. Thank you so much for joining. Um, the end. Yes, you can also join our developer community. A link has been dropped in the chat box, so we'll be happy to answer your questions also in our developer community, whatever you are building. You can see the link to join our developer community in the chat box. So